possibly the worst prediction I've ever made.
Woo!
Just
2 weeks in now to the 25-26 NBA season. Should we compare our coffee mugs? Who did it better? Who wore it better? I guess they would have to be the same if it was.
Yeah, we got Taz here. I got, but most of mine are like overseas souvenir gift shop type mugs.
Well,
but
so you're a bringer backer.
Sometimes I like to get one thing, and usually it's a small thing that can go in a carry-on bag. So it's usually something that ends up in the kitchen. So it's like a coffee mug or a spatula or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like I now have enough coffee mugs. I've understand my parents since I'm at age 45 now, just how it was that they accumulated so much shit, because like it never goes away. Like the t-shirts that I was wearing to work out 15 years ago, like, you know, unless I lost them, they're still fine.
Yeah.
They're no different than a new t-shirt that I would buy, but yet I still I'm accumulating more t-shirts somehow.
Well, now that you've been married for a little while, you know that sometimes a fairy comes in the night and throws those old t-shirts out.
I'm the thrower.
They just sort of vanish, and you don't realize it until like 3 years later, and you're like, "Hey, whatever happened to that?" Yeah.
Well, I the reason I brought up the bringer backer thing is I am very protective of like my suitcase hygiene on these trips, where like I pack the stuff that I need, and if I'm going to bring something back, it needs to be something that's not going to break. And like especially when people are like, "Oh, hey, can you bring this thing for me?" I'm like, no, that suitcase is my space. I'm going to be gone for 2 months. Like everything is spoken for.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to like spend a bunch of time on my vacation going to get this shit. Like you can just order it online. You can get anything you want.
There's a company called FedEx that does that really well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's I have there's an apocryphal family story, a relative that will not be named, who once had a 93-pound suitcase, half of which was filled with magazines, like royal magazine, like magazines about the royals that you could only get in Britain.
Nice.
She brought back from England, but this is also in the pre-internet days. So
of course, got to read something on that plane ride, you know.
All right, so maybe that's something that they would want to do over on. We desperately need to do over on our terrible season predictions, or maybe we don't. Who knows? We'll take a look at this. Is a chance, though, to take a mulligan on any season prediction that we might have done. It's kind of ironic. I think I would love to go back and look and see at whether these season prediction mulligans are more accurate than just our overall season predictions. Like, are we just overreacting too much to the first 2 weeks? So beforehand, I guess I can tie this in with the mulligans. I had the Memphis Grizzlies over 40.5. I had them with 45 wins. Then with some of the pre-camp injury news, I bumped it down to 42. We had this news with John Morant, one of the weirdest games I've ever seen on Friday. Then he gets suspended by the team. Before we talk about whether we'd want a mulligan on the Grizz or not, what was your reaction to that whole circus?
So the thing that stuck out to me was that I thought part of the reason they moved on from Taylor Jenkins was that the system he was implementing wasn't very favorable to John Morant's game. So you bring in a new coach and he's almost immediately sideways with Morant, like the second week of the season. That's a little bit of a problem. And
well, his system works for Morant. He's running lots of pick and rolls, but this, like, I guess it's this shorter stints, not playing as many minutes things, which actually is kind of funny because I thought Taylor Jenkins already didn't really play the Stars that many minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea is he wants to play fast. He wants everyone to sprint. And I think unsaid, he wants them to sprint on defense and not just on offense. But definitely wants them sprinting on offense. And so he's trying to manage that, but a lot of, I mean, NBA stars are conditioned to the idea that they play 2 shifts a half, right?
Yeah.
And not 4 or 5. There's only been a few coaches that have really done that consistently. I mean, Popovich did it with the Spurs a lot, especially with Manu Ginobili, where he would play him short stints and just like he'd always be at the table. And but that's a really a rare thing for significant players.
No, it is. I've felt like certainly with role players that they should do that more. But Ja, I think, needs to actually be fresh and play a more, a more physical type of game. But and also that's just a way that you can, in theory, get buy-in from the rest of the roster if the star is willing to do it. I guess maybe he's not smart. Maybe he will be willing to do it now. I thought it was interesting. Chris Vernon went on Zach Lowe's show, and I don't want to say downplayed it, not with like an agenda necessarily, but he just felt like this is something that they could get over. That Thomas Isolo, his philosophy has always been, we bring up stuff directly. I'm not going to be that coach who goes and like shits on my players behind his back when we go out to dinner after we lose. I'm going to just bring stuff up in front of the team, and we're just going to be very direct. And Isolo is very direct in press conferences as well. I don't think that he's like combative, but he is direct. And so maybe this is something that can ultimately be swept under the rug. I mean, to me, though, it's not even so much the comments as the pathetic effort in the second half of that game, a winnable game. Like, just like, and actually, I don't know, Jaren Jackson hasn't been focused on here. He also had this infinitesimal role, took like 2 shots, I think, in the second half of that game before it was decided. And you've just got, the likes of Jalen Wells and Cedric Howard just trying to go one-on-one, and that's your offense. So that it was just a very weird game, and you knew something had to be. It was so bad that you knew something was going on as you're watching it. It's very rare you can say that.
Yeah. And so again, like it's game 7, game 8, or whatever, and this is happening.
Well, okay, so you kind of started with that, and then tie that into the larger picture. If there's a level of concern at this point,
I think there's concern on a couple of levels. One, like the 26-year-old version of John Morant is worse than the 22-year-old version of John Morant. Why? Like he's not as good now. Like he's still an effective player, but like he does everything he did his second, third season in the league, but it's just kind of all in muted colors. He's not quite as forceful going downhill to the rim. He's still not a dangerous shooter.
He's a worse shooter.
Yeah. Shoots more shots from floater. Still really gives you nothing on defense. So that promise that this team seemed to have circa 2022, it's just kind of, the air is just slowly being let out of the balloon.
Yeah, or very, very quickly with this 25 game suspension, and then very slowly after that.
Well, because it's 2 different things, right? He's never available. He still hasn't played 7 consecutive games since March of 23.
He was so close. The suspension is what stopped him.
Exactly, stopped by a suspension. So maybe 6 games from now he'll finally get it. And then his level of play has dropped off. And then there's those 2 things that are just the straight basketball part. And there's the third consideration of, do you want to deal with the other stuff?
Yeah. And, at least to his credit, he hasn't had any like crazy off the court stuff. There was like the finger guns, fine. It seemed like the league definitely wanted to just sweep that one under the rug to some degree. I think Trae Young is in this boat too, that we reached a sort of peak small guard in the latter part of the last decade, early part of this decade. And now with the game getting more physical again, how it's being called, teams just embracing ever more size, ever more physicality, going at smaller players ever more as well. the fact that you now can just like there's literally no way for a guy John Morant's size to defend anyone with size the way the rules are right now. Like they just get going, they get the forearm into him, they knock him backwards. I'm not saying he does a great job of competing, but like he just, and with the number of screens that are set and the way you can get away with stuff on illegal screens, like they're just it's impossible for someone like that to compete defensively. Now, I would say it's not exactly like he's worked on his body a ton, and part of that's been he's had shoulder surgery. He can't really lift weights during that time. You know, there's been a lot of factors to that, of course, but and the other thing is just he doesn't get by people the way he used to. He doesn't jump. He doesn't finish the lane. He's a little skittish about it, frankly, with the number of times he's got injured, the number of times I'd say he's not been protected by referees in those vulnerable circumstances as well. But yeah, this guy's just not. He's a guy. I shouldn't say that, but he's not a dominating player. He's not a highlight machine anymore, even as well. So it's it's too bad because he was one of my favorite guys to watch. I love the way that he played coming in, and just has not been able to take the next step.
And then that's interesting to me. You bring up Trey too. I mean, I think there's this because the Hawks are in a similar mode with him where they're sort of trying to figure out if he's still the face of the team. I mean, if you look at that Desmond Bane trade the Grizzlies made, the core statement, like the crux of that deal was that they didn't think Ja Morant was good enough to build a championship team around, right? Because otherwise you don't do the Bane trade.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't spun that way, but that's what I said at the time, that they hoped they wouldn't take too much of a step back, but that they also like this, they could say, oh, we have to, this group isn't good enough. Yeah. But you can hide the fact that you now, and they did, of course, do the renegotiation extension of Jaren, but that it gave them optionality for the future. Now, if they want to totally rebuild at some future point, that's available to them.
Yeah.
Whereas it wasn't spun as that, but it definitely was not a fork in the road, but a way that could take them to that fork in the road at a later point.
Yeah, because fundamentally, the thing they're trying to do is get somebody who is better than Ja Morant to be their best player.
Well, they have Jaren Jackson, who's better.
Well, I mean, Jaren may already be there. Yes,
but they got to get someone better than him.
A true number one guy. Yeah.
So I had Memphis for 42 wins. I'm still not necessarily going to mulligan that quite yet. I think I'd like to see what they look like when Edey comes back, and they are getting some stuff from Cedric Howard. Jalen Wells has been a guy. KCP like can't even run. Like that seems like he just looks like an old man out there at this point in time. I thought he might give them something. So again, especially when you have a rookie like Howard that they want to get more reps, I don't know that they intended for him to be, their best wing at this point in time.
Yeah,
and they still got to get Ty Jerome back too.
Possibly their best player in the first 8 games.
Yeah, Jaren has not looked great to me either, but he's coming off the toe surgery. So I'm not ready to bury them yet. I mean, 42 wins that's not like some astronomical number. If they are still in it, they'll pick up wins late, just like everybody else does. So I would stick with that for now.
Okay.
Where did you have them?
I think I had them 10th with 41 wins.
Okay. All right, so you still feeling that, or would you think these guys are like headed towards a disaster season?
I don't think they're headed toward a disaster season. I just the end game. It's the similarity between Atlanta and Memphis is like the end game with their small point guard is really tricky, and you still have 3 years of Ja to max. I don't really think he has any trade value right now, at least in terms of if you want to get assets back. So. I actually had Memphis at 39 wins. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my picks now.
Yeah.
And so I just don't know where that ends for the Grizzlies.
Walker Kessler will have season-ending shoulder surgery on a torn labrum, John.
That is unfortunate for him because I think it diminishes his contract value as he heads into his restricted free agency year. And obviously he didn't do the extension with the Jazz before the season. The Jazz didn't like have some premonition that he was going to have a torn labrum, right? So,
I mean, I guess those reports came out pretty early in camp, but he missed a bunch of time in camp. And then when he did come back in their final preseason game, he was really the shoulder seemed to be bothering him. Now they're characterizing it as an aggravation, but that can happen, right? The shoulder gets unstable if you already have a little bit of a torn labrum, and then you can get in a compromised position and it gets worse. So I don't know. They may actually have had some idea of it. But of course they have cap reasons as well and also potential trade reasons, which is now totally off the table to have not extended him.
Yeah. Easy decision to tell him to go ahead and get the surgery, right?
If you're the Jazz, I think,
yeah.
Well, but I mean, it seems like it just was at the point where he just rehabbing it wouldn't have really been an option. But and I think for him, it's probably even an easier decision, because you want to be able to tell people in restricted free agency that you're healthy. So, and I think like Walker Kessler, there have been some injury issues with him, but I think the proof of concept for when he's healthy is pretty good. Now, there's maybe hope he was going to establish himself as a top 15 center this year if he could do what he did last year on a real team, or at least, not even a real team, but a team that's like actually playing players and not just sitting him for half the games. But he hasn't really proven he can make it through a full season at a high level. So I do expect that to chill the market somewhat. But yeah, I mean, I think this is, maybe it leads to a shorter contract, possibly, rather than less per year. Maybe that's where it ends up, or maybe some team protections on the end. But it's a shame. He's been one of my favorite guys when he's actually been out there and healthy. So that's I mean, I still like the Jazz to go over 18.5. They've been frisky early on this season. Just beat the Celtics.
Yeah, because Keontae George has been better. And even with Kessler coming out, they actually have guys they can play. Like hopefully not Nurkic quite as much, but like they could do some stuff where they play, bring in Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, hashtag free slow-mo. I think he could help them a lot if they get him on the floor a little more. So they have some options there.
So I think I had them for 23 wins. I might bump that down slightly, because I do think part of the issue for me is like Ace Bailey has been so bad. Like he hasn't even been able to like sniff starting. And I'm not like, he had those great preseason games when he was starting, and then he had this illness and knee tendonitis. And when he has been out there, he's been the guy replacing Markkanen, and that's too much of a role for him. And some of their backup, he's not really playing much with George either, who's been sort of like their plus minus star because their backup point guards aren't as good as him. And so, I was hopeful maybe Cody Williams could be like slightly playable. Will Hardy doesn't agree. Elijah Harkless is now more playable than him. So some of these young guys are not. Walter Clayton's a little further away than I thought he might be. So I would probably downgrade the Jazz a little bit, but still over 18.5, just because that's such a
low number. And the Jazz are, they're 3-4 right now, right? They just won at Boston. I like that. It's such a beatable number. Yeah, they'll hit that.
Yeah, and like when Will Hardy isn't just being totally kneecapped, he's clearly a good coach. All right, give me another season prediction. Give me, or not another, because you haven't picked one yet. Give me a season prediction that you would like a mulligan on.
Possibly the worst prediction I've ever made. Just in terms of the sheer extent of the wrongness. So I predicted before the season that Shaedon Sharpe would be the first player from a team with a losing record to win the sixth man award. Now, let's see how many levels I'm wrong in this on. First of all, the Blazers don't even have a losing record right now, although that could easily change. Second of all, opening day starter has started every game. Very possible he ends up starting 0 games this year, which would take him
coming off the bench for 0 games.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Coming off the bench for 0 games, which obviously would take him out of the running for the sixth man award. However, there is one way where he could end up back on the bench, and that is because he has been so bad that even if he had come off the bench every game, there's literally no chance he'd be contending for the sixth man award.
Yeah.
So pretty maximal level of wrongness. The only thing that makes it a six man award prediction for him look good right now is 31% usage, which has been historically the entire criteria people use for voting that award.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a odd start to him or for him because he just has been in this role as their only shooter. You'd like him to do more than shoot, but then the ball hasn't really gone in for him as a shooter. Everyone else there is playing really well, right? I think Jeremy Grant being moved to the bench somehow it seems to have kickstarted him. Drew Holiday's been way better than I thought he would be.
Yes.
Offensively. Do you want a mulligan on the Blazers under 34.5 wins?
I have the application pulled up on my browser. I haven't filled it out yet, but
does it require that you can't leave the field unfilled where it just says like comment, why am I requesting?
Yeah. There's a lot of rules
mulligan?
in it. Like, yeah, it's like requesting waivers. It's like you have to ask nicely. They might say no. You just don't know.
Yeah, so to me, I was higher on the Blazers just because I thought their defense would be awesome. I mean, the thing that's fascinating about them, Danny and I recently did a video on the Miami Heat new offense and how their pace of play has gone up so much. And 81% of the time they cross half court before 4 seconds has elapsed on the shot clock. The Blazers cross half court 88% of the time before 4 seconds has elapsed on the shot clock. And I don't know what I never thought of these guys as a fast playing team. They're not even playing a pure point guard right now.
Yeah.
Used to now, I guess anybody can grab and go and push it. And, certainly they're taking the whole pressure thing to an even greater level as well and forcing a lot of turnovers. So I've really enjoyed watching this Blazers team, which I didn't necessarily think would be the case, even if the half court offense gets clunky at times. And I also think because they have so many wings that this group that I almost said Chauncey Billups, that Tiago Splitter went to close the game against Denver. That's an interesting group with no center. You'd say Kamara is the center in that group. They have a lot of size up and down the roster that they can go to for that. So I'll also give myself a little pat on the back for Yang Han Sen is not going to figure in this rotation. Even when Rob Williams was out, now he's as back as he can be. All right, I will give myself a mulligan. All right. Oklahoma City Thunder, 62 wins, which was under 62 and a half. Sure, looking like they're going to go over that. These guys are just a fucking machine. Even with Chet playing half the games, Jalen Williams hasn't even debuted yet. He's got to get this screw taken out of his wrist. Shea was looking exhausted at first. I was like, yeah, they're just banging out these close wins to start 4-0. And now they're just, throttling the Clippers on the road. I mean, admittedly without Kawhi, but also the Thunder are missing guys. And Jay, I don't think has played the last either 3 or 4 fourth quarters. He's still been awesome. The defense is just as good. We'll keep an eye on this Lou Dort shoulder contusion. Because that's, was that a bruised shoulder? Is there like something structural there? We'll see. Teams are always kind of nebulous on the shoulder issues.
Yeah.
Early. But I think they're just an absolute machine. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's only going to be circumstance, I think, of just, we're so far ahead. We just don't even need to try. That'll take them under 62. Like they're just a monster again. I knew they would be, but the fact that they're now banked 8 wins, even in this early part of the season when people are hurt and everyone else is trying, is remarkable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because usually even the elite teams, it gets easier for them late in the year because you have tanking teams that are more openly tanking, and you have injury teams too who are just shells of themselves.
All right, who else do you want to take a mulligan on here?
All right, you know what prediction is not looking good? I said that Cooper Flagg would not just win Rookie of the Year, but would win it unanimously. And I forgot about how much effort the Mavericks had put into making his job as difficult as possible.
Yeah, that was certainly, you mentioned the form. Mavericks weigh as one of my best bets to be over 40.5. Certainly wouldn't be on my best bet list anymore. I don't know if I would take them for the under, but yeah, it's just been atrocious. All of this front court depth is useless because all the guys are just hurt anyway, and they weren't actually playing as big as they were. Cooper at point guard hasn't been great. Jason Kidd had to say that Kyrie might be back in 25, maybe to just motivate the troops to stay above water until then. Yeah, I mean, tell me what you've seen from Cooper so far, in addition to just the fact that the circumstance has been difficult.
Second in scoring among rookies from Duke. How about that?
Well, at least he's not behind Kaman Malawach.
Yes, exactly.
Little disturbing that Kaman Malawach can't even sniff the hardwood.
Yeah, I got to be honest. That's hasn't really shocked me that much.
No, after Summer League, it hasn't either. But I mean, disturbing in the sense of we just spent the number 10 pick on this guy and we forwent these other opportunities.
Could have done the New Orleans deal. Yeah. I just think he's not in a position to succeed playing as basically a full-time point guard. I think to me, you have to start Russell. You have to get Flag more involved in off-ball actions, second side type actions. Take advantage of the stuff he does well, because he could be a finisher and an initiator. And I think that's his strength, is that when you get him a head start and get him on the move, that he's tough to deal with as both. And so you have to pick your poison a little more. He'll shoot better. He's not going to shoot 39% all year. But I think also his shot diet is really tough when he's having to initiate everything himself.
Well, and he also is facing the best perimeter defender on the other team every night too, which is a problem. And maybe if Kyrie comes back, it'll help him with that. And then defensively, he's also had to be at the point of attack, getting over screens. That's not his strength either. And I think all of these things are things that he could learn how to do and might help him in the long run, but it's definitely not helping the Dallas Mavericks win basketball games right now. And then they've had such a fluid situation. They've gone from having too many bigs to their backup units playing PJ Washington at center because they don't have any. Anthony Davis has looked very washed so far. He's averaging a lot of points per game, but just because he's taken so many shots, and he's another guy who just doesn't have anyone to set him up. And that's really all he can do is finish plays at this point. He's not a creator anymore, and he was always kind of overrated in that role.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then they're not, as we talked about this last week, I think they're not doing any of the big man things either, where you're like, oh, they're going to lock down the paint. It could get all these offensive rebounds. They're last in offensive rebounding last time.
Unbelievable, right?
Miserable. Yeah. So I still think there's more here. We'll see when AD comes back. He can do the Luka Doncic memorial, miss time for a calf injury while also dropping 10 pounds.
Yeah.
I
still think Cooper will end up winning Rookie of the Year, but I mean,
do too.
There's a real competition now. VJ Edgecombe has looked great. Coward's been good. Dylan Harper, if he's not out for too long with this foot thing from the other day, he's looked good.
Rookie of the Year is a 65 game, isn't it?
Oh, I'm not sure it is, because I think they were worried that they might not have anybody hit the threshold and that it would warp the voting.
I think all rookie is not.
Oh, that's what it is. Maybe it's all rookie that isn't.
What about to make it into the rookie sophomore game? Do you need to be on pace?
Hang on. I need to call one of the league's assistant coaches and find out.
Let me see if I can just double confirm that. Okay. So Rookie of the Year does not require 65 games played. Basically.
Okay.
A quick search. And six man does not either. Most Improved Player does require 65. So the ones that require it are MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved, All NBA, All Defense.
All right.
All right, here's another mulligan for me.
Okay.
I had Nikola Jokic as my MVP. I do not think that will be the case.
Really?
And when I do it, remember the way I do it, I'm not predicting how our colleagues are going to vote. This is just who I think should win MVP. I don't think it will be. I think he's really hasn't looked to be in great shape. He's been out of it from a scoring perspective. A little weird that he's been focusing on passing and Cam Johnson has just been a wallflower standing in the corner the whole time.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, Luka looks like he's on a ridiculous mission right now. Victor looks great. Shea looks great. Giannis looks great. Jokic, wouldn't be anywhere close. I mean, I still think he's in the conversation for the best player in the world, and maybe is, but he just has not been going hard, and I don't think he's necessarily going to need to. The Nuggets have a pretty good team, so I think he wants to get Murray going, and Aaron Gordon's playing well early, so it's just he's not going to put up the numbers that he did last year. And putting up numbers, I'm talking not necessarily about points and rebounds, but he's not going to have as big of a role. So it's hard for him to have as much of an effect, it seems like.
I still think he could end up winning MVP.
Yeah.
But a lot of it depends. Like Giannis is playing out of his damn mind right now. And
yeah,
if he keeps doing what he's doing, he definitely will win MVP. I just don't think this 7-game sample of him playing like this is going to hold up for a full 82.
Yeah, and obviously injuries with Luka, with Giannis are going to determine it. I think Jokic is probably the best bet of anyone on this list, other than maybe Shea, to actually play 65 games. So it could circle back around. You're right, but he would not be my pick at the moment as the most. I mean, Shea would probably have to be the most likely again. All right, what else you got?
Hang on. I had one here.
I'll do it, Jig, while you look it up. I'll take a mulligan on Ace Bailey as number 2 rookie of the year. While you're looking for that.
Oh yeah, not sure about that one.
I have a couple that I actually am kind of might have been controversial that I'm sort of liking.
All right, here's one that I'm teetering on.
Okay.
And this gets a little too interesting to me. You brought up Cam Johnson. So I watched Orlando play in Atlanta last night.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a big mulligan one. I want to hear.
I had Orlando second in the East with 52 wins. Maybe they end up
them
getting
third
there,
with 51 and making the East Finals.
But man, it has looked rough so far, and it's so interesting to me you bring up the Cam Johnson thing, because the same thing has happened with Desmond Bane in Orlando, where they traded for this guy, but it's clear they don't know how to optimize him.
No, they have no fucking clue.
Yeah, and he's just hanging out in the corner, or they had one good stretch last night where they used Desmond Bane as a screener for Paolo, and it was actually pretty hard for Atlanta to guard. But I think with Orlando, Paolo and Franz have the ball so much, and Paolo in particular is such a ball stopper that it's just hard for other guards to eat in that system. And I think they've had a really hard time getting the right players around those guys. And, you wonder too, it takes balls to do something like this, but if they would have been better off choosing one or the other between Franz and Paolo and getting a different positional or skill archetype as their other max guy.
I mean, I think you would have to change the coach before you went down that route.
Well, we'll see what happens. Oh, okay. That takes me to another mulligan. I'll bring up.
Let's finish up on Orlando.
Yeah.
Table that one. So, yeah, I looked at this. I've been very focused in on Orlando early because, as I like to say, hell hath no fury like a prediction scorned. So if I thought they're going to be really good and they're not, like, clearly it's something that they're doing wrong, and it can't. They're so talented, it can't have been my prediction that was wrong. Like they're fucking it up, right? It's not.
Right.
It's not me. I mean,
Clearly.
it's kind of. I mean, that's sort of probably how like a lot of the GMs feel, honestly, when when they make a and Jamal Mosley was. I thought they're going to be good, so I thought he would be in the Coach of the Year conversation. He has been the last couple of years, and he's gotten them to defend, I would say, even above their talent level, and it's been great. But I think we might have even talked about this a little bit, like the amount of holding the ball, just how long it takes them to get to the next action.
Mm-hmm.
And like I talked about, particularly the way that the league is now optimized for these big ball handlers to get to the rim, if they just moved it faster and got into the next thing, particularly if you could also throw Bane in there running off screens or cuts, as like another sort of gravity confusion type of thing, and you got the ball from side to side, yeah, you get Paolo or Franz the ball with nobody in front of them, and now they can get a shoulder past their man and get to the bucket. Yeah, that's great. It's just, but it's like, all right, who's going to come set the pick and roll for me again? Is what side of the floor? Oh wait, no, Trae Young, Jordan, this guy. We'll bring him up, and it just. And then the other thing that because I looked at it pretty closely of like where Bane is struggling. Obviously, 26% from three is not going to continue, but more worryingly is 5.3 threes per 36 coming into last night, where his best years he was at 8, and like that's like below average for any shooting guard. Not one of the guys who's been one of the best shooters in the league and can shoot it off the dribble. They don't really get much in transition, and that's actually been an underrated part of Bane's abilities. Is just he doesn't really get to the cup in the half court. He can in transition, but he also will just pull it really quick in transition. They just haven't hit ahead passing, like hasn't been there. Like Memphis has always been so good in transition, and Bane was a big part of that. So that's the other place where they're just not getting the threes up. But I mean, they got to improve this offense, and then the defense hasn't been quite at the same level. Like Jonathan Isaac is in witness protection when he still would give them 15 or 20 minutes of all defense level of play before.
Yeah,
and I don't think Batadze hasn't been as good as he's been in the past. Anthony Black has been a disaster on offense. Tyus Jones has been like one of the worst offensive players in basketball early on. How did he look last night? I didn't see what he did.
Invisible, but I think it's another thing where he has no role on that team. Like he's a pick and roll point guard. What's he going to do with Orlando? He's spacing to the corner watching Paolo every trip.
And you would think he played with Bane in Memphis. He was a really up-tempo point guard there that like they could maybe replicate some of that, but that just none of that is happening right now. I mean, Jones could just be done too, but
there was a discussion I had with the scout before the game over whether Jones was a victim of the system or just washed.
I mean, but he at least made shots last year in Phoenix, but the Phoenix kind of came to the conclusion that he was not it as a starting point guard on a contender, which is fine. They brought him in to be a backup. But he does compromise them defensively if he's not going to give them anything on offense.
Yeah.
And they did somewhat denude their depth in this Bane deal of just having all these long switchable guys, despite the fact that they were the worst 3-point shooting team in forever. So, yeah, I mean, I got to just go lower on the Magic at this point. They'll be better, but like another blowout loss to a Trayless Hawks team last night is not encouraging. Okay, so you had somewhere else you wanted to go when I mentioned the idea of changing a coach.
Yeah, I said that there would be fewer than 3 coaching changes before the All-Star break. All right. We already lost Chauncey like day 1.
Does that count though? Is that a voluntary? He's still is he in a coaching emeritus role at this point? Maybe he could be involved in like some intelligence gathering on the other team. Some hidden cameras in the locker room, that type of stuff. Really give the Blazers an edge.
No, the prediction I should have made was how many coaches in the league will never coach in the league again after this year. We already have one. Then the second one is Willie Green in New Orleans.
Right?
Obviously,
They
that
got their first
situation.
win last night.
Did you see the end of that game? We were
I
in
did, yeah.
we were actually watching it from the media section in Atlanta because Hawks people watch the Pelicans games now. And the Hawks were up by like 20. Charlotte didn't score in his final 10 possessions.
Oh yeah, it was pretty insane against that defense.
Yeah. Some pretty tragic crunch time. Charlotte did not have LaMelo, but still. But yeah, that's New Orleans doesn't have Zion for 7 to 10 days, which, I mean,
Grade 1 hamstring, right hamstring.
has a Zion injury ever been, had any of the injuries he's had ever been like, oh, he was back in 7 to 10 days, just like they said?
Well, I mean, yeah, grade 1 is going to be, I think it's reevaluated in 7 to 10 days. Grade 1 will be 2 weeks for even a normal guy. And with all the hamstring issues that he's had, he also had this foot contusion as well. And also, like, another guy who's just, it's amazing how he hasn't been available as much as Ja, but how his career has really mirrored Ja, where he's peaking and, at age like 21, 22. And yeah, he looks like a facsimile of the same guy, but he just doesn't have the same explosion. And now he's just, he's shooting like under 50% from 2. So he can create these shots, he can get to his spots, but he just is not as athletic to finish as he had been. So, but whatever. I mean, they're, it's going to be a struggle for them. And I mean, Willie Green, he decided to play Jose Alvarado, the last 15 minutes of the game, and that managed to somehow pull it out last night. But yeah, they're just, their defense is absolutely atrocious. I mean, Derek Queen at least showed something last night. He had like 12 points and like, I don't know, 7 assists in just the fourth quarter or something like that. I don't know if it was 7 assists, but so he actually looked okay. Talk a little bit more about him at a later point, but yeah, I mean, I was way under on the Pels. I'm feeling pretty good about that one overall. And yeah, I mean, it's just a question of like, I mean, pretty much every national media figure has been saying, oh yeah, I'm waiting for some news on Willie Green.
Exactly.
Here, I can't pat my back. I have one prediction I do not want a mulligan on.
Okay.
Is for my unofficial award of not executive of the year, Joe Dumars / Troy Weaver.
Yeah.
They fucked up so badly that they have to share the credit for it, honestly. You have to have 2 guys.
I don't know how you can go anywhere else this year.
Yeah, and Ansi Saleh as executive of the year, looking pretty good.
Yeah.
At the he probably actually won't really win it because it's just whatever team really surprises. Like, people don't never give you credit for a move that you make in a given year that's going to pay off down the line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like Sam Presti was nowhere around the executive of the year conversation as he's building one of the greatest rosters of all time.
Well, the year he made the Shea trade. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there are other, like the Al Horford trade was really good as well. Yeah. So, all right, what else you got here?
Can I take a bow on my defense of Josh Giddey's contract?
Is that? I thought this show is supposed to be about things that we fucked up. All right, I guess I've been doing it. Yeah, no, I mean I
just wanted to give myself one. I was in Chicago the the Knicks game.
Yeah,
and that was a lot of fun. The Bulls, I think they're probably going to end up around 500 or whatever, right? But they're fun at least.
Well, and particularly with Kobe White out, it's been impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, do we owe? Does Billy Donovan gonna have to be higher in our coach rankings? Which we're gonna do in like a month?
Oh
no, I guess not. No, we do that in like February. Organization rankings is next month.
All right, I gotta think about that. We've had him pretty consistently around 20, right?
Yeah.
Let's see how that goes. I don't know. He might.
Yeah.
He might be like a teens guy this year.
Yeah. How about I had Philly with 42 wins, which I think was, a game and a half under where they were at.
I had him at 37.
Yeah. So
And
is that mulligan worthy?
getting again, I would say the application is up in my browser, and I have it like half filled out, and like maybe like next Thursday or something I'll be all right, I'll send it in today. VJ Edgecombe obviously has made an impact immediately. Maxey is playing great, leading the league in scoring. Kelly Oubre, kind of under the radar in a lost season last year, was pretty decent. He's been really good this year.
Couldn't shoot though. He's shooting this year.
Yeah. And it's made up for the fact that Embiid really hasn't, like, he's statistically given them some stuff, but he hasn't been moving well. He hasn't looked like that guy at all. And Paul George hasn't played at all. But they've just been, those basically four guys, Maxey, Edgecombe, Oubre, and Grimes, have been so good that it's been able to carry them to a really strong start here.
Yeah, my feeling on them was a lot of these things that have fueled this strong start are going to regress, like the 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
But that they also are going to hopefully get some guys back that can make that regression a softer landing than it might be otherwise. I think their overall quality as a team can hopefully improve even while some of this stuff is going to normalize.
Yeah, and to your point, they are shooting 40% from three, and their opponents are shooting 31.9. So it's kind of the double unsustainable start, where they're making all their threes and their opponents are missing all theirs.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess I would go up a couple of wins from 42. I mean, Joel, the fact that he's at least been out there and hasn't been hurt, you hope he'll continue to get better, right? I mean, 7 of 21 in 25 minutes against the Bulls last night doesn't really knock my socks off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think he's just trying to like make it through some, like he just hasn't really gotten that aggressive yet as a scorer. Well, the way, like
you mean like attempting
he's
to
taking
jump?
A lot of jumpers, but
he's taking a lot of jumpers, but he's not actually jumping.
Yeah. Nets over, baby, at 23 wins. Might have to get a reevaluation.
2023 is starting to look like a really big number, huh? Like, wow, 23 feels like a lot, huh?
Yeah, it's been.
How are we ever going to get all the way to 23?
Yeah, that's one okay, well, actually, here's one. I am nowhere near 52 wins on the Clippers right now.
Yeah. I know. I had them with the second best record in the West. That was one I was looking at. I had them with the second best record in the West. And in concert with that, Ty Lue winning Coach of the Year, because everyone will see the Clippers as this surprise team. And, so of course he'll win it. And instead, they're 25th in defense. I'd say the shooting guard position is really hurting them. Beal hasn't been the guy they thought they'd be. Bogdanovic, it saddens me to say he has not been very good at all. And they haven't really made the big lineups with Collins. They haven't really made those lineups work. So, yeah. And that I had brought this up the last show. Yeah, CP hasn't looked like he's been able to do much either.
Well, and they've been in a circumstance where I think Beal, in theory, was supposed to help him. Kawhi sat out last night. Basically, any time that they've had to have CP and no other creator out there, it's been a disaster. That's not entirely his fault, because that's just asking too much from him, number one. And then number two, who are you pairing him with, right? You're pairing him with Lopez, Collins, probably Chris Dunn.
Yeah.
And then maybe one other guy who's not a great shooter. But yeah, I mean, like they've lost these games when it's just been him and neither Kawhi nor Harden, because Kawhi was sitting on a back-to-back yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. So that's been a problem. And then they're starting Nick Batum a lot at shooting guard. Like that's just too much for him right now. They tried to play Dunn and Jones together. The other thing is that their transition defense is so bad right now. They gave up 50 transition points on 29 transition plays last night.
Wow. That's wow. Yeah. You gotta really be efficient to give up that many.
Yeah, well, the Thunder had 8 pick sixes on them.
Yeah, like but even the pick sixes, like sometimes you got to be like, hey, we gave you that pick six, but why don't you try pulling up from 3 instead of taking the dunk? Because I don't know if we're gonna get enough. I don't know if we can get that number high enough just on 2s.
Yeah, I mean they were 18 of 43 from downtown. Like that's the other thing; they don't really have much shooting, but they actually shot it well and still just got totally destroyed last night. In theory, I mean, the biggest thing I'm worried about is just that their defense has been so bad, and like maybe that's just the Jeff Van Gundy making the shirt. Like that doesn't seem to have worked.
The shirt said that they got killed in transition by Denver, right? Isn't that what it said?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now that next year the shirt can say we got killed in transition by everybody.
They're living the shirt right now. The shirt don't lie. That's what their shirt should say next year.
Yeah, and Kawhi has been about what you would have hoped. Harden has probably been about what you would have hoped.
Yeah.
And you just felt like the depth, and I thought these guys were going to be a top 5 defense easily. And that's the thing that's most disturbing to me is that they haven't been hard to play against. They've been easy to play against.
Yeah. Thoughts on Brook Lopez at 37?
Well, he was negative 29 in 16 minutes. He's mostly just been shooting threes. He actually was 4 of 4 from 3 last night, but it's I don't know. I don't know that he's like the problem necessarily. I think he could be more effective if he could get inside the arc on occasion, but if you're pairing him with Collins, then Collins is the guy who's going to be attacking inside, and Lopez just stands out in the perimeter. So, like, I don't know that the Lopez, like Chris Paul really needs like a great role man at this point in time to play with. So, certainly when they signed all these guys, I was like, yeah, they did a great job. They got some depth, but there's also the possibility that these guys could all turn into a pumpkin at the same time.
And that's kind of what's happening.
Yeah. Particularly because they're so built around what Beal was supposed to give them. And I think that was maybe not the greatest bet.
The key failing was trading Powell and bringing in Beal, right?
Yeah. You were lower on Houston than most. You have a new take on that? Or not? Or are you still feeling that way?
I'd say I'm still there. Now they've moved up to number 1 on offense. Shockingly, it's come mainly as a consequence of beating the tar out of bad teams. But they also changed the lineup. They went away from the Şengün Adams pairing. They are awesome at offensive rebounding. Obviously, I mean 36%, which is insane. Number 1 free throw team. It's just total mash ball. But then they're also, they don't take a lot, but they're actually number 1 in 3-point percentage right now.
Yeah, that may not be the case, but I guess if KD is the only person who's taking 3-pointers, you could maybe it'll continue.
But like, Eason, Okogie, Şengün, are all above 45%. I mean, that's obviously not going to sustain.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're going to be the number 1 offense, but I think just the offensive rebounding and Şengün, I feel is definitely. I mean, him getting to the free throw line is pretty. Also, I'm loving that KD's getting to the line as much as he is.
Yeah.
As well, so that's so they're just Yeah, I mean they were, I think, 12th in offense last year, and yeah, Fred VanVleet was important, but he also was actually a below average efficiency player. He's not there anymore. And then trading out Jalen Green for KD, who still is always going to be incredibly efficient in the shots that he himself takes, even if he's not setting up other guys as much as he used to. Yeah, Reed Shepherd starting to come on as a shooter too. That's interesting. But yeah, I think the Rockets to me are a clear top 3 team in the West. I think their formula is just too good during the regular season so far. Like, teams are really going to struggle to deal with it.
Well, with the Clippers vacating one of my 3 projected spots,
yes,
that does leave the door open to move Houston up. So they played their last 4 games were Brooklyn, Toronto, Boston, Dallas. Their early schedule is actually pretty friendly. They go to San Antonio on Friday. That'll be interesting. They're at Cleveland in 2 weeks, but between now and then, their next 6 games are still pretty light before they really start getting into the teeth of the schedule.
Last one here.
It's
San Antonio.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I could say that about a lot of teams. I'm fascinated by this early part of the season. San Antonio, I had with 41 wins. You know, it seems like maybe the last couple of games, teams have been catching up to Victor a little bit. I thought the Mavericks just came in pretty dumb with their strategy against him on opening night, and he's put up, huge games against the Nets, but he's starting to struggle more with his efficiency inside the arc. They're not a great passing team, so they haven't been able to find him on some of these rolls to the basket. We haven't seen Fox yet either. So I'm still, would I go maybe a couple wins higher than them, especially because they banked a few? Yes, but I'm still not necessarily like, oh, these guys are going to be firmly in the top 8.
Yeah, I'm at I was at 46 on San Antonio.
Okay, wow, that's a lot higher than that. That's one of our biggest disagreements.
Yeah, I think I feel pretty good about that one. They looked really bad in the Phoenix game, but obviously that's the only game they lost. It did make you worry about kind of the things people can do to scheme Victor and whether San Antonio has enough clubs in its bag to offset that effectively.
Yeah, I talked to an advanced scout who had seen them this year, and Sean Sweeney is doing really good stuff with the defense. I think if you're going to say I underrated anything, it was just how good their defense would be with Victor. And that I had Victor as the clear defensive player of the year, but I probably should have even been higher on the defense. But Mitch Johnson apparently is running the offense, and this scout said that he is just wasn't that impressed with their offense. Mitch will kind of struggle to come up with plays coming out of in free throw situations. Like he'll just it takes him a while to kind of come up with something that's not even really like that exciting. And then also he wants to do this kind of read and react ball, but he hasn't really taught them the fundamentals of that. So it's a combination of not great like set play calling, but then they also aren't necessarily, and this is a young team too, so that's part of it, but they're also not necessarily playing like a great read and react brand of ball. And it's also harder to do that when you don't have a lot of shooting and the paint is packed. Teams are starting to figure out a formula there. So that'll be something to keep an eye on, is their offense, and then what it looks like when Fox gets back. I mean, I think having his experience at the point of attack will maybe be better for the way that they want to play.
You would hope so. I mean, to echo your point, I talked to an advanced scout this summer who basically said the same things about Mitch's playbook. And you wondered at the time if it was because he was trying to run Pop's playbook, or it was just because his own, his own stuff just wasn't that earth shattering. And we're maybe starting to get the answer here.
All right, then. Well, I want to remind everyone that you can listen to every Hollinger and Duncan on Dunked On Prime. Please consider subscribing to that. Link is in the show notes. John and I do this every week, usually middle of the week. Try for Wednesdays. Travel sometimes interferes with that, but And you can get, of course, 5 days a week of myself and Danny Leroux as well, and Dan Feldman's Daily Dunks, which is a 5 days a week wrap up of all the news and analysis on a daily basis. So thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you all next time.